Alright, first of all, get this fucking 2012 meme away from me, bro. What are we doing here? This low-level memery is not acceptable in 2020. Who's still making NBA memes with this format thinking it's funny? We left these dry-ass punches back in the first half of the 2010s. No resurrections, please. Alright, yeah, we talked about this on stream. Shout out to the House of Highlights for hiring a very young and basketball-savvy talent in Kenny, because that's a very wise investment to avoid moments like this. What is this post? What does this mean? What are you trying to say? Prime Branding Jennings and Jan? What? First of all, what is a prime Branding Jennings? When did this happen? He dropped 50 points in his rookie year once. He was decent for the Pistons before tearing his Achilles, but there was never such a thing as a prime Branding Jennings. On top of that, the entire premise of this question is just, it doesn't make any sense. I think Jennings and Giannis played together for like a little bit when he came back to the Milwaukee Bucks. Very short stint that I did not even remember until this morning. Nothing even close to significant enough to be making a post like this though. That's similar to me asking what a prime T-Mac and Kawhi would have done in San Antonio. He was there for like 10 minutes, fam. T-Mac played there for the playoffs and that was it, and he was out. Slam, find you a talent like Kenny, hire him, and let him run the account. This post is not that far above the time they tried to tell us LaMarcus Aldridge's mid-range game was underrated. I wasn't even really paying attention the other night. I didn't know that Giannis was actually, he took a small dig at Harden when he said he wanted players that passed. Well, a Rockets account took exception to that and says, alright, you Greek bitch, I want PF who has actual game and doesn't charge into dudes. I mean, look, this tweet has many layers of stupid, but above all, it's very difficult to take aim at a certain player's playstyle when you're angry at him and you're trying to defend James Harden. I'm not saying I see a whole lot wrong with it. I'm on record talking about James Harden and how he's been smart over these last few years with his playstyle, but at that same time, you can't just be like, oh, look at this guy, he's just charging into dudes, and your favorite player tries to hook guys before he shoots. I'm just saying. Also, how do you get this salty over a lighthearted joke? Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. NBA Twitter to be exact. Hey yo, nobody exposes themselves on this site like people who get under Kendrick Perkins slander threads. Perkins posted a picture of him holding his Celtics championship ring in response to somebody who was trying to take a dig at him, and this immaculate Thomas the Tank Engine Avi goes, Perk got handed a championship and has the audacity to post that pic as a response. All Perk does is hate. He's an average player who flexes a ring that got handed to him. When somebody points out that he was the starting center for that championship team, but Big Baby could have been the starter on those teams and there would have been no difference, Thomas replied. You know, this take really reeks of someone who was born maybe a year, 2 years at best before that championship actually happened. And you can always tell when it's like that because if you didn't know, there is an entire Kendrick Perkins hate bandwagon on Twitter these days. He's a media personality now. He has a lot to say. I don't even agree with all his takes, but because he didn't score a lot, and a lot of people really, I'm guessing they only watched him towards the end of his Thunder days as he began to ride benches. They look at his career numbers and think that this was just a guy, basically just a big body that floated around some NBA teams and was in some fortunate positions. And then you find videos of Kobe Bryant praising him as one of the best post defenders in the game when they were actually competing. You find evidence of a prime Dwight Howard, I repeat, a prime Dwight Howard, referring to Kendrick Perkins as his toughest low post defender. Although I'm not sure what that's going to mean to some people, being that Rudy Gobert is apparently a prime Dwight Howard equal. Nonetheless, if you actually experienced that era, you know Kendrick Perkins wasn't there to score points. He was there to rebound sometimes, but mostly defend. Be Kevin Garnett's anchor. That was the big deal when he went down in Game 6 of 2010. That was the big deal the very next year when they traded him, assuming that Shaquille O'Neal was going to be healthy. Kendrick Perkins on Twitter may make himself kind of easy to dislike, but people responding in these threads make it very easy to identify who wasn't watching basketball pre-2015. It's nothing wrong with that if you weren't, by the way. You can't necessarily control when you were born and whatnot, but I mean, if you weren't, just don't do this stupid shit. It's very easy. Oh, speaking of stupid shit, there was a poll that ran comparing a prime CP3 to Damian Lillard, basically asking which player is better. This was a gold mine. One take reads that Paul was never an elite scorer. That reads like somebody who hopped on Basketball Reference and saw that he hasn't always averaged the best scoring numbers, as opposed to being somebody who actually watched his younger days and realized that CP3 basically always had the ability to score whenever and wherever he wanted. However, he had the pass first mindset. That beautiful combination is what has made him one of the best point guards ever, and has kept, I'm going to say, about 90-95% of his teams throughout his career somewhat competitive. CP3 has very rarely ever just been a part of a failing program. Hell, even the one year that I can call a fail, I believe he tore his meniscus. Yeah, CP3 could definitely score whenever he wanted, and he was also an elite playmaker. That kept defenders on their toes. Don't let some 18 points per game scoring seasons fool you. A prime CP3 could give you 25 or 30 anytime you needed it. Dame, a way more impactful player, obviously. You guys are stuck in the past. Chris Paul can pass but could not be relied on. I don't even care about the take here because this guy later admitted that he was kind of drunk. With that context, that just makes this shit funny. It's more disappointing the amount of likes this got. People agreed with that. Apparently you couldn't rely on CP3 when in most of the playoff series he's ever been in. Not only could you rely on him, but in those later years with the Clippers, sometimes he was really the only guy you could rely on. He also almost won MVP and nearly made the conference finals on a team back in 08 that, by the conference standard, wasn't really that great. If you want to say his hamstring can't be relied on, then that's a different story. You ever seen CP in his prime? Most Chris Paul steals were fouls. Oh my god, this guy is a fucking genius. Do you know how much I could apply this to? Bro, most LeBron James dunks were uncontested. Most of MJ's fadeaways, those were just luck. You can't really count most of Tim Duncan's points, they were bank shots. I'm about to ruin everybody's legacy with baseless caveats. I like this. I wasn't prepared for NBA Facebook today. None of us really ever are. When talking best shooting guards ever, some people think top 3 is MJ, Kobe, and Wade. AI is way better than Wade. I did my research, this wasn't just a troll. I've gotten very good at discerning trolls. This wasn't that. The whole reasoning behind this? Give AI Shaq. And then proceed to ignore that Wade was a far better defender, far better for team play on and off the court, but also we gotta back up. What is this way better than? Is there a shred of evidence out there to support that? I feel like when you start talking about players like Dwayne Wade, the whole way better thing needs to kind of go out of the window in 9 out of 10 cases. These guys who are top 2, top 3 at their position, there's not a whole lot of just, oh, this guy was way better than him. It starts sounding like Dragon Ball Z power levels, like there's just some new ceiling that can put one guy way above another even though they come from generally the same tier. Allen Iverson was not a better player than Wade. I'm sure he would fully admit that, but no AI slander. All he ever does is chill and give everybody in this generation props. We just slandering this dumbass post. My Facebook doesn't update according to time for some reason, so a bunch of the Iguodala news was just now hitting my feed. Nobody on NBA Facebook understood the move. It wasn't just a, oh, y'all are overrating it. No, people, they didn't understand the move. 15 million per year for 5 points off the bench and mediocre defense, and an attitude that, okay, yeah, this is a salty Memphis fan. First of all, they're not paying Iguodala to score. NBA Facebook thinks a signing is immediately irrelevant if a guy is not averaging a lot of points. You'll see that more than once. Also, even if it turns out that Iggy is not the same on-ball defender, he still understands defensive angles extremely well, and he carries a lot of intangibles with him that a team like Miami can use. Also, that second year for that 15 million is not even guaranteed, so yeah, they're still financially flexible. Oh, this compounded it though. My apologies to anyone offended. He was a fine player 10 years ago. That's funny, I could have sworn he won the finals MVP 5 years ago, but my concept of time is kind of ratchet these days anyways, I could be wrong. We can stop there though. The fact that we're talking about Iggy like he's been washed for a decade like Vince Carter, that kind of tells you everything you need to know. He's on the downside of his career. Obviously the guy's like 36. He's not going to be around long. Not the player he was just 2 years ago, probably. Could have signed me at $4.25 million, and I could score 6 points a game, 3 rebounds and 2 assists. I told you guys. I told you. NBA Facebook thinks you get paid. Everybody got to average 10 points a game. There's nothing else you can contribute here. Nothing about rotations, nothing about screens, nothing about understanding how teams operate on the defensive end. NBA Facebook thinks that if you acquire a player, you look at that player's points per game average, and that's the amount of points you add on to your team scoring. That's how NBA Facebook works, and my head already hurts because it's late, so I'm off this. Despite the headache, it's all very intellectual stuff as usual. Members of my Discord actually helped out with this one. There's an entire channel inside the Discord server just for NBA Twitter Police stuff, so you can post a screenshot there. Maybe it'll make it into the video, maybe we'll just laugh at it. Either way, the links for that will be in the comment section and description. Be sure to shoot me the most intellectual takes that you see around the interwebs all week. Also, hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a video drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.